Hello and welcome to Full Tech Ahead. I'm your host, Amanda Razani, and I'm excited to be here today with Jeremy Ung. He is the CTO of Black Line. How are you doing today?
Great. Thank you, Amanda.
Can you share a little bit about yourself and the company Black Line? What do you do?
Yes, as you mentioned, my name is Jeremy Ung, Chief Technology Officer at Blackline. Lead our engineering function as well as our product management roles at Blackline. We are in the finance automation space. So you can think of us from automating critical accounting processes, but also orchestrating activities across the office of the CFO as part of the close process and other financial areas.
Wonderful. Well, our topic of today is AI within the financial world, and trust seems to continue to be a barrier to that. So, what are your thoughts on that, and how do we gain that trust?
Yeah, I would say this is a critical topic that a lot of the customers that we talk to raise. I mean, especially, I would say that right now we're seeing an imperative for finance teams to look at AI as either an accelerant or a way to save time or a way to kind of close a resourcing gap. But there is a hesitation or trepidation around, is this going to be risky? Is it going to be okay? You hear about hallucinations, you hear about other areas where there are inaccuracies. But AI seems completely authoritative. And so there is a core concern from people, especially in finance accounting, where data is critical and you have to get it right about whether AI is going to add more risk and whether they should just stick with their human or manual processes instead.
Absolutely. Well, and we know data quality is sort of mission critical to finance, especially when AI models require extremely high accuracy thresholds. So, how should CFOs and their teams rethink their data practices to ensure AI outputs are reliable
Yeah.
enough?
So I think data is at the heart of all AI models. I think if you look at what's been going on in the industry, there's been this race to create different large language models and for companies to build new AI products. The differentiator is the data. And at Blackline, we've had that as our core. I've said that data is the new currency. And what that really means is that you need data to power AI solutions and to power AI solutions that are accurate. So if you don't have the right data, you're going to result, AI can't really make better data for you, right? You need the correct data to have AI be able to produce the right answers or the right insights from that data. So it starts with the data. I think it also, it's not just having the data, but it's having it in one place. The more data you can feed AI models with, whether it's large language models or traditional machine learning models, you want it in one place so that your algorithms can form connections between the different data sets you have. That's why at Blackline we built our Studio 360 product. We built a data platform that allows you to, in a data lake or data platform, as you might call it, have all your data on one place. And then we curate that data, we cleanse that data, we structure that data so that it can be used in things like machine learning models or artificial intelligence.
So, when companies are under pressure to innovate quickly, AI features can get pushed out the door before the right guardrails are in place. So, what are some of those most important safeguards to embed early in the development stage?
Yeah. I think one of the things is auditability around AI. So one of the things that we looked at when we were building our AI capabilities are how do you explain this? And especially not just to the user, but how are you going to explain the outcomes to an auditor? So, while AI models don't think in the traditional sense, you can leverage things like chain of thought or reasoning to show the steps or the decisions the AI model is making to arrive at a specific decision or outcome. And so that is a key part of being able to inform, the accuracy, the reliability of the output, and also how much you can trust that. And so if you think about rushing things out the door, often people skip these steps like validating that these steps are auditable, that they're accurate. Then you also have a record of them somewhere so that a human can go in the back, can review that or can acknowledge that. You might have heard of human in the loop, but also you can augment this to be having an auditor in the loop in the future, especially in finance and accounting, where it's not just the human making the decision at the moment that you're getting an AI insight or output or having AI create something for you. It's later on as someone reviews or provides a perspective on the accuracy of something, you're able to then go back and see what was done by a human, where they reviewed an AI's output and what the AI algorithms were thinking at the time in constructing those outputs. So it's giving that completeness to the picture.
Right. So, for AI to be trusted in regulated environments, auditability is essential. What does a clear audit trail look like in AI systems used in finance? And how can companies ensure that stakeholders feel confident in the underlying logic of the
Yeah.
models?
It goes back to just going back to a foundation of trust. And so there are already things in place for auditors and others to trust, what humans do today. And I think this is where like you see this coincidence with this digital workforce, right? Where you hear the word agentic AI a lot, you hear about digital workers. What does that really mean? Well, I think if you think about these things in isolation, I think you can miss how to make this auditable. But when you think about AI workers as potentially filling um, roles or areas where humans might be doing work today, you want them to have the same credentials. You want them to have roles, permissions, access control. So, for example, I can't see everything across the whole Black Line organization. I can see something that's relevant to my department, and that's the same kind of restriction you're going to want to give an AI agent who's acting as a digital worker. And with these controls in place, you also today for humans, like if I change a value or if I input something into the system, that's recorded. And you're going to do the same with AI agents. And that's what our agents through our Verity platform, that's what when we call it trustworthy AI, that's what we mean is that actions are recorded. They're like users in the system. They have clear permissions, roles, and access controls. And you can audit it just like another human, no different from another human in your organization. I think that's what's critical is that audit trail also records what actions they're doing, the chain of thought, which I mentioned before. But then you also have the controls in place around what data is available to these agents, what were they able to leverage in producing their answers or responses so that there's the full transparency into what these agents are doing.
Absolutely. So, looking ahead, what advice do you have for financial leaders to speed up this AI adoption process responsibly?
Yeah, I would think about this in two phases. One is get your data correct, right? Lay the foundation for your data. And then think about the processes that you use to train a new hire. Like, let's imagine AI agents are like a new college graduate. You have a new college grad starting at your company. What do they need to know? What are the rules that they need to follow? What are your guidelines? What are your corporate standards? What are the processes that you have as an organization? And how do you educate them on that? And you're going to take that same playbook that you use for a human, and you're going to use that for AI agents as well. That's a great starting point. And if you don't have that documentation, if you don't have a clear way to onboard a new hire in a systematic, repeatable fashion, it's going to be hard for you to get the most value as you move into an agentic mode of operating with AI. The other I would add is really you need an organization that is ready for some change management. I just had a conversation today where it's not that people don't recognize that AI can provide value. There's a change management aspect to how people are going to work. And I think that ultimately, if you don't embrace that change, but also if you don't scaffold that for your organization, invest in learning and development, invest in training, invest in creating what that future looks like, I think then ultimately you have an organization that's not ready to adopt AI and you're going to end up just throwing a lot of things at the wall, spending a lot of money, but not getting the value that you want. And that's where we have things like blueprints. These are accelerated templates to help people adopt AI. We also have things like our best practices that we have in our optimization academy, where you're just recording best practices across multiple customers and formalizing them into frameworks that can be adopted. And that's important, is it gives you kind of a playbook that you can work from to adopt AI in a safe and trustworthy manner.
Very helpful to have. Well, if there was one key takeaway you could leave our audience with today, then what would that be?
I would say that the change is happening, and it's exciting and scary at the same time. The way you can control your destiny is by leveraging the data that you have, leveraging the playbooks that you want your organization to follow, the same things that you do to deliver a high performing organization. Think about how to leverage AI and utilize that in conjunction with what you're doing today. I think that is a real accelerant. And I don't think you have to change dramatically from what you're doing, but I think what you're going to see is a huge impact to the way your people and your organization work alongside AI agents, alongside other AI capabilities. And I think the clearer that you are in where you want to get value from these processes, the better you'll get, from an ROI perspective from AI you deploy.
All right. Thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing your insights with us today.
No, thank you so much for having me.
And thank you to our audience. If you have any questions, leave those in the comments and share what was the most interesting to you about that. How do you envision AI in the finance world moving forward? Until the next podcast, have a wonderful week.